Immigration to the U.S. is nothing new, as it has been happening since the colonial era. However, it has seen several uprisings recently, from a migrant caravan coming all the way from Central and South America to some small migration from other countries. Immigration has not slowed down and will continue to happen throughout the years. Let's take a look at the history of immigration in the U.S.
As the colonial era went through, Europeans went to the New World to expand their territory. This can be considered as migration or immigration due to them seeking land, wealth, and religious freedom. They took land away from the natives, which eventually turned to the U.S. Other European countries followed, and eventually all of the Americas was colonized by the Europeans.
The start of the U.S., first developed by the European colonization of the New World, gave the Europeans several opportunities to create their own set of rules. They started taking over the land of the natives and later enslaved them. This eventually set the base for the U.S. Along with them, the Europeans brought diseases which would later turn against them and would force them to seek a different option.
As years went through, slavery was still common, but the natives being used as slaves were rapidly dying off due to disease. So in order to keep having slaves, Europeans turned to African slaves, moving them out of their homes. This can be considered as both forced and slavery immigration to the U.S. This was a change because it provided more ethnicity after the slave trade ended.
Not all immigration was because of slavery. Many people after the slave trades would come to the U.S. in hopes for better lives. Take the Irish immigration as an example. Due to famine and the increased rate of starvation in Ireland, many decided to leave their country and go to the U.S. to seek a better lifestyle. This made Ireland's population decrease dramatically because about 4.5 million arrived in America to seek a better life.
Between 1870 and 1914, 3.6 million Poles left their Polish motherland with hopes of pursuing more promising prospects and building better lives for themselves and their children. Having a collapsing economy and the suppression of the Polish language and culture, it is only easier for the Poles to immigrate to the U.S. today. There are estimated 10 million Polish Americans.
Beginning around the 1890s, new industries in the U.S. Southwest, especially mining and agriculture, attracted Mexican migrant laborers. After the Mexican Revolution, refugees and political exiles fled to the United States to escape the violence. Mexicans also left rural areas in search of stability and employment. This opened the door for Asian immigrants and increased Mexican migration to the U.S. greatly. There is a continuity connected with this today since we have people from Central and South America coming to the U.S.
This same period saw massive numbers of immigrants arrive in the U.S. from Asia, Eastern, and Southern Europe. The establishment of the National Origins Quota System in the 1924 Immigration Act narrowed the entryway for Eastern and Central Europeans, making Western Europe the dominant source of immigrants. The recruitment of temporary agriculture workers from Mexico led to an influx of Mexicans, and the appeal of Asian inclusion laws opened the door for Asian immigrants, as stated before.
As seen in the chart, the number of immigrants coming to the U.S. each year grew very rapidly in the mid-1990s. It hit a peak by 2000, but rapidly started to decline. However, in 2004, immigration would bounce back again and rapidly increase. Such rising and falling of these numbers are due to public policy and a variety of issues at the local, state, and federal levels. These peaks in immigration can be associated with the Irish potato famine, end of Civil War, economic swings in the 1890s and 1900s, and World War I.
In more recent cases of immigration, about 66 million people around the world have been forced from their homes. The Middle East and North Africa region accounts for more of displacement than any other. 6 million Syrians have been internally displaced, and 4.8 million are refugees outside of Syria, around half of Syria's pre-war population.
Many foreigners living in the United States today are present without authorization. Roughly one-third of these individuals are undocumented, and although Hispanics and Asians now account for around 20% of the total population, they make up nearly a third of all births. Thus, the future of the United States is very much tied to the status and welfare of immigrants and their children. Estimated among the projected 441 million Americans in 2065, 78 million will be immigrants and 81 million will be people born in the U.S. to immigrant parents. They positively impact the economy since almost half, or 3.4 million, pay Social Security payroll taxes. In 2010, they and their employers contributed $13 billion. If immigration continues, the benefits might just outweigh the negative, although there are really no negative sides when it comes to immigration, and provide the U.S. with a much better economy.